The Equality Can't Wait housing group are heading up to Hillsborough Castle to deliver a letter to the Secretary of State, Teresa Villiers, asking that more social housing is built and that the government address religious inequality in housing, particularly affecting families in North Belfast, but not exclusively North Belfast. So all of the families, all of the guitarists are going up to sing a song for Miss Villiers and ask her to use specific human rights legislation to intervene and build more housing for families in need.
We had to go up and see, well, hopefully see the Secretary of State, is because we've wrote to everybody possible, like in the House Executive, the DSD, we've delivered letters, we've written around the mall, all the politicians, we were up at Stormont, and this was basically the next step.
Well, the residents have been petitioning in their community for quite a while. They've been out this last 3 or 4 weeks asking people to get on board with the campaign. It's asking for two things: to build more social housing and to tackle religious inequality. Both of those are not massive asks from a resident's perspective, and that there are international treaties and domestic treaties that bind government to do both. So that's what they're asking for. The petition's been signed by thousands in their communities. They're bringing with them the weight of the UN interventions, the weight of the EU interventions, and they're asking that the Secretary of State now act as opposed to talk. Well, there are 2,500 people on the waiting list in North Belfast. Most of the residents here today are from North and West Belfast. There hasn't been a dent put in those figures in many, many years. And what that means is families on the waiting list, families in hostels, families in poor accommodation, families in dealing with the trauma of their families having to go through that and their children having to go through it.
We've been in a hostel for nearly 2 years and we have 2 wee babies and we're looking somewhere to live long term.
I got in touch with PPR a few weeks back because I live in a very old housing executive property. It's 109 years old, and I've been fighting with a housing executive from 2011 when my house first started to flood due to leaks in the roof, and we seen an advertisement for PPR doing a housing clinic, got in touch with them, and it's really just grew from there. Seán sort of got into writing letters to them and asking for help with sort of our issues. We needed lots of repairs done and stuff, so they've started coming out now. They've started to make major repairs that should have been done a long time ago. Basically, it is a case of too little, too late. The house is still quite bad state of repairs, even though they are putting in new heating system, new windows. It's just too old and unfit for purpose.
It's been really hard to find. Everywhere that you put down, it's high demand for houses. You know, anywhere that we've put down, it's high demand. So it is. So there's nowhere that you can actually say that you want without it being high demand.
I mean, it's bad when you've been on a housing waiting list for over 4 years with the same amount of points and basically being told you've no hope of a house. And it's just not a few people, you know, there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of people sitting like this.
The fact that it hasn't been addressed in the 16 years from the Good Friday Agreement speaks volumes about the commitment to tackling inequality. The Equality Can't Wait campaign was born out of probably the worst housing in Ireland, which is the Seven Towers residents group in North Belfast, the Seven Towers there in the New Lodge. It became pretty obvious pretty quick that poor conditions and all of that went with the territory of no new housing being built and no adequate housing being built, and the campaign has drawn upon the support of 2 different United Nations bodies, the European Commissioner, the Children's Commissioner, a whole host of political parties and MLAs, 49 MLAs from 6 political parties in the Stormont Assembly. 5 ministers from the executive this year in May pledged to do all they can to support the campaign for a time-bound resource strategy to tackle the problem, and that hasn't happened. And the residents in December are now going to Teresa Villiers to ask that she uses her powers as one of the co-guarantors, the British government being co-guarantor of the Good Friday Agreement, to intervene and tackle inequality.
What I'm hoping for is raise a bit of awareness. Firstly, I want them to listen to what we have to say and to make a fair system for us, to make sure that equality happens and that I mean, we don't have enough space, and I'm aware of that, to build homes, but there has to be a solution to this problem, and they need to look, and they need to be investigating it, and they need to be making a solution to it.
Hopefully something will be done and people will get rehoused quicker instead of being in hostels for 2 years or moving in and out of hostels.
Well, I hope that the next steps are that Teresa Villiers will take us under notice, will realise that there's an issue, a massive issue, not just in North Belfast in terms of housing inequality, but across North and West Belfast in terms of housing, and that she will react.
No.